Soulframe, developed by the same studio that made Warframe, Digital Extremes has ventured into a new territory, taking on the adventure and fighting game genres. From the get-go, this game might seem like a Souls-like, especially given its name incorporating soul into it. But contrary to common misconceptions, this is actually not a Souls-like, and it is actually referencing Warframe, its spiritual predecessor from the same studio. Now, before I get into this game and what it is for the people that have yet to see it, I have spent quite some time in Warframe, so I would say I am well versed in the universe of digital extremes as I have been following them for quite some time. These stats that I'm currently showing is not every hour spent in Warframe. It is just the Steam version. I have spent some years before I moved to Steam on their own proprietary launcher. So these stats might as well be about double. And now with that out of the way, I do want to go through Soulframe and maybe clear some of its misconceptions, as mentioned before. Now, this game's development has been unfolding slowly over several years at this point. In 2022 was the first reveal of the game during a TennoCon event that Digital Extreme holds every year. And that event is to celebrate, at the time, Warframe, but it has now started including Soulframe into it. Now, during this event, they revealed Soulframe with a cinematic trailer alongside the ability to reserve your name in the game for characters that are known as envoys. Slowly after that reveal, the development kicked off in August with early behind the scenes clips being shown. In 2023, during TennoCon, we got the first real gameplay, which was followed by dev streams where they fill in the player about more details from the game. In 2024, Digital Extremes and the team behind Soulframe opened what they called the Preludes pre-alpha playtests, which were free through a code lottery system that they released in batches. What that meant was they slowly opened up the game to the player base, not to overrun the servers that they had, and also to test and stress test the servers, as well as giving the opportunity for players to give their feedback for the game, telling the developers what they liked and what they didn't like. And in 2025, the preludes continued, where they actually recently revealed in November, and as of recording this, it is about a month ago. They showed new content that is called the Waste Bear Fables, some new dungeons, some new die features, and they also revealed a founders program that launched around November 25. Now, it is important to note that every major release that they do, there are bound to be accounts resets, and that is simply just to better gauge the game's economy, the player base, as well as looking into more of the details of the game, of how people explore the world as well. And now, even though this game is still in its very early development, the general perception of it has been quite positive. A lot of players highlight that the atmosphere, the tone, and the slower pacing is something fresh compared to Warframe's hyperfast gameplay. People seem to appreciate the world building a lot, as well as the aesthetic direction of it, and the sense that the game actually wants you to take a breather and to take things in instead of rushing through everything. At the same time, some players do have some issues with the combat where it might feel a little stiff or that the progression is a bit unclear at times. And that is honestly to be expected with the developers behind Soulframe, as Digital Extremes tend to struggle a bit with the progression. And from my perspective, I have encountered a lot of times in Warframe where the progression was a bit unclear for me, especially in my early days of starting out in Warframe. there wasn't really a lot of things that the game taught you. However, during the recent years, Digital Extremes has gotten a lot better at teaching new players how to progress in their games, with Warframe just recently releasing a quest called The Teacher, which is meant to teach you some of the core mechanics in Warframe. So, in my opinion, I do think it's just a matter of time before Soulframe starts incorporating some of these things as well. Because, in my opinion, it is a very critical aspect of a game that it teaches you how to progress in the game that you're playing. But overall, the interest has been quite positive. It has been quite strong, and as well as most of the feedback tends to lean towards excitement and curiosity rather than just straight up disappointment. It feels like a project with potential. It seems like even the criticism are coming from players who are actively engaged in the community as well. So they genuinely wanted to succeed. Now, at its core, Soulframe is a game about restoring harmony in a broken world as an envoy, which is a hybrid between nature and machine. And as you explore this world, you will fight corruption and contamination. You will awaken ancestral spirits. You will learn melodies as well as break what they call the gaunting spell song that keeps the world imprisoned. As I did mention before, the game is a bit slower. It is more story driven compared to Warframe, where Soulframe has much larger focus on the melee combat as well as exploration, and it does take inspiration from the nature theme, takes inspiration from the Celtic folklore and surrealism, at least from what I could see. While this game is slower paced than Warframe, it has a lot less explosions, funny weapons as well, or silly weapons. This game takes a different approach to fighting, and it does actually play a lot like Souls games, forcing you to take it slow and match your inputs and strategically match your inputs to your fights, while Warframe is just like a button mashing simulator. One thing I also want to highlight is the Nightfold, which basically works as Soulframe's central hub. Your own little operations as an envoy is the place you return to between runs, where you bring the ancestors you've rescued and where the whole game slowly starts to open up. Each ancestor you add gives the space more personality and unlocks new ways to craft, upgrade, or customize your build, so the hub actually grows with your progress instead of just being a static menu. It has that same home space feeling that Warframe's Orbiter has, just reimagined with a much more grounded, almost story-like atmosphere. The whole place is wrapped in this calm, nightlight aesthetic, tents, a small study, weapon racks, little details moving around the edges, even creatures resting near your camp. It feels like a pocket of safety where the game lets you breathe for a moment before heading back out. As you recruit more ancestors, they settle into the Nightfold permanently and they start offering their own services. Right now it's just the core group, the blacksmith, the scribe, the mode specialist, the dye master, but the way the hub expands suggests that the more will be added over time. And if you're playing co-op, everyone in the party can enter together, so it becomes this shared resting point between taking on new fables. It's a simple concept actually, but it ties the whole experience together in a way that gives Soulframe a stronger sense of identity. Instead of feeling like you're jumping in and out of menus, the Nightfall makes the world feel more connected and gives you a real place to come back to. Now, there is still no full release date revealed, and it looks like this game might be a late 2026 or even 2027 release, especially considering Digital Extreme's usual updates for Warframe, where major releases do generally take longer than initially expected, as well as this game only being out on PC at the moment, with consoles coming later. In my opinion, I do think that the team behind Soulframe wanna build this game for consoles before they eventually release it fully to the public. So this could potentially push it back to the 2027 release. And in my opinion, it might be the early 2027, but we don't know that. They have introduced some founders options, some founders supporter pack. So if you want to, you can get yourself some cosmetics as well as support the game, which tells me that the game still has a bit of development left, which speaks to me as a more 2027 release rather than late 2026. Now, with that being said, I am genuinely excited for its eventual release. I'm excited to see what Digital Extremes has planned for this game, how they might expand it, and what direction they want to go in. I'm excited to see them reveal new stuff that they're working on, tease stuff that they want to include. I think that's about it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.